I think I'm going to get started here because it looks like we have a bunch of people in here and I think we're ready and itching to get going here. So I'm going to thank everyone for joining us today, for joining us for this tailoring resume workshop presented by Bullseye. We're extremely excited to be partnered with this organization, not only because of their fantastic job tool, but also because their co-founder is a BGS member. If you're unfamiliar with Bullseye, they are an AI resume builder and a job fit tool that offers immediate resume feedback and analysis to gauge your fit for a specific role. You can check them out on our website. BGS members get an exclusive extended trial to test out the app and see how it can aid them in their career journey. So with a little further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Keren Boiman. She's the co-founder and CEO of Bullseye. She's a tech entrepreneur, public speaker, experienced technical program manager, and she wants to transform the job search process by leveraging AI to improve job matching and resume tailoring. Previously, Keren served as the head of PMO at Intel AI and director of program management at SEMA AI. She's also given many public talks on job search efficiency while collaborating with organizations like Women Who Code and Products That Count. So please join me in welcoming Keren.
Hi, everyone. It's great to meet you, even though not in person. And it's great to present here and talk here today about resume tailoring and about Bullseye and how we can help you. I'll quickly share my screen to start us off. Okay, great. So just a little bit about us. Matt already introduced us. I'm a proud BGS member for the past year or so. Graduated from Santa Clara University. Where I graduated, completed my MBA. I'm based in California in the Bay Area and have, as Matt presented, over 16 years of experience in program management and operations. Started off as an electronics engineer, Bachelor of Electronics Engineer, and worked on very cool development projects, and then moved to program management. My co-founder in this journey is also my spouse, Keren Boiman. He's a serial entrepreneur, built already a company called Magista, which was VC-backed, was an AI startup for video editing, later acquired by Vimeo. And we've been working on Bullseye for the past year and a half. And I think it's the third time of giving talks with BGS. We are partnering with many organizations to spread the word, help as many people as we can. That's our goal. My interaction or my experience with job seeking, even as an experienced engineer, a few years back, was not very pleasant. I was submitting resumes, submitting applications, even in not as harsh as this job market today, was rather, much better conditions compared to today. And still it was a grind, and it was very frustrating. It took a mental toll on me. And it really, even after I found a job, really intrigued me into why is this process so inefficient, so frustrating, so demoralizing, manual, you name it. And not much has changed overall. I think, over the past maybe, I want to say 7, 8 years, decade or so. And that's what got me intrigued. And that's why I spent my research as part of the MBA on the inefficiencies in recruiting and job seeking. So in terms of what we'll talk about today, we've gone through extensive market research with Bullseye, and we'll share the findings with you today in terms of how recruiters scan the resume, what is our philosophy based on these findings to the job search, understanding deeply what is a good job fit for a role. We'll also talk about resume templates and how to tailor a resume, going over each section of the resume, and we'll show some examples. And to top it off, I'll also demo Bullseye, and you'll get a free trial for BGS members. So, recruiters, as we found, like we interviewed over 30 recruiters, mostly in tech and finance sectors. What they do is they spend, anywhere between 10 seconds to 30 seconds on your resume. And they mentally scan that against the job description. Now, a job description many times has the basic qualifications and the preferred qualifications. And it's very important that your resume clearly communicates, not that I'd have to spend, more than a few seconds to fully understand how you meet the basic requirements, the basic qualifications, but also some of the preferred. The preferred essentially are your bonus points. That's your way of getting extra points on this. And the recruiters will, and the hiring managers will try to look for quantified achievements. And we'll talk about what those actually mean versus generalized statements. And we'll talk about that as well, and I'll give examples. What we've seen overall in terms of job seeker behaviors, and we're talking about professionals specifically because that's our audience, that's the people we help the most and that rely on the resume. Many are applying for various reasons for the spray and pray approach. In essence, applying to many jobs. Um, Maybe not really checking the fit, going mostly by the title. And our approach, or what we advocate for, is really spending time on the more, the roles that you mostly qualify for. And there's a way to quantify that fit as well, which I'll show. But that's the ideal case. That's what we advocate for job seekers, and we actually give you the tools as well. But today we'll go over, in terms of our approach, we'll go over the quality, as I mentioned, the quality over quantity. I once spoke with a person who told me that they have applied, maybe not consistently, but on a single day, to over 100 jobs. Now, when you go and do that, you mostly are not looking for a very, high quality, fully tailored resume and looking for a great fit. You just hit the easy apply button. And we don't recommend that. One, because, it's from an efficiency perspective, it's not very efficient and productive, but also it takes a mental toll on the job seeker. They're starting to think, hey, I've applied for couple hundred jobs and I've heard from maybe only two. What is wrong with me? What am I, what is, maybe I'm not a good fit. I'm just not qualified. Whereas that's not the case. Um, that behavior is just not efficient and just not productive. And that's what we're going to give you the tools to do that differently. So talking about tools, conducting a job fit analysis thoroughly, using a simplistic resume template, and I'll go over that in detail, tailoring the resume for each job description, even if it's just slightly, but make the resume serve you as a tool to do the job for you and showcase your qualifications and your fit for the role. And use STAR approach. I'm sure you've heard about that. And McKenna can also add links to our website. We have an active blog that gives a lot of information about the STAR approach, how that can be used for resumes, but also for interviews. Okay, so let's talk about job fit. Why does that even matter? So there's been, many research on that. But one of the things I wanted to highlight is that there was one research that talks about, by Talent Works, that talks about meeting just 60% as opposed to 50% of the job requirements doubles the interview chances, doubles the chances of getting invited to an interview. So that's that. And that, again, is in line with the research that we've done talking and interviewing recruiters. That is exactly what they're looking for when they're scanning the resume. They're not looking to see what it is that you've done across your career overall, like everything that you've done, everything that you've touched, but they're looking for somewhat of a prism of the professional background against their needs. What from your background meets their needs, which are described in the job description. Um, and that's why the job fit analysis is so important. And that's the first step that you take with Bullseye as a user. You plug in your resume and a job description, it gives you an overall analysis. Now, this is also something you can use with, pen and paper exercise. And this is the example I'm giving here. A job fit analysis is used, you can use a simple T chart to do that, where on the left-hand side, you would write the job description as they appear in the role specifications. Just as an example, on a business analyst entry level here, they want strong analytical background, ability to work effectively, stakeholders, so-and-so, Power BI tools. And the other column would be your qualifications as they are written or described in the resume. Now, then you'll go each and every one of those, and you will see if this is actually a full match or a partial match or no match at all against what you've written, and you'll have to score yourself. For full matches, I'll get a score of a 1, and for partial matches, for example, in this one, they want applied knowledge of business analysis to develop solutions in large-scale business projects. Say, for example, I've assisted in a local startup, evaluating customer data, but I lack experience with large-scale business projects. I only worked in a startup company. So that's kind of a partial match, so I'll give myself half a point. Then I go over everything, I sum it up, and I get a percentage out of this. In this case, it's like an 83%. And this tool, this practice, helps me uncover and find areas which the employer wants, but either I don't have, or maybe I didn't write anything about it specific on the resume. So this practice essentially helps me uncover gaps between the job fit, between the job description and my resume. What is it that I should be talking about and I'm not talking about? We recommend applying for roles that you see a good fit, and a good fit means at least 75%. That's kind of a rule of thumb, at least 75% or above. But we should strive to achieve, more along the 90s, 80s, 90s, and more. Okay. So Matt, do we have any questions so far?
We do. We have one question here from you. They say, how can you stand out? How can your resume stand out with no experience? So how can you
Yeah.
create a resume that stands out with no experience?
Yeah, I'm going to touch upon that when we get to the resume part and the tailoring part.
Okay,
Anything else?
that's it for the moment.
Okay, right. Okay, so this is another job fit analysis example from a program manager perspective, or a program manager role. Again, you can see like an 80% of a fit, which is a good sign, which means I can go ahead and apply. If I get like a 50%, and I have nothing else to share, like this is the experience I have, it gives you a sign that potentially you should not apply. Either add the information that's relevant, or maybe you should not apply, because for the most part, there'll be candidates that would show a higher fit with this employer, with this role. So just to recap, the way it goes is you run the job fit analysis using that T chart. Assuming equal weights for every requirement, that's just a simplistic case. It helps you identify the gaps, and then it gives you a sense of what relevant information you should be adding to the resume that's not there yet. Rerun the job fit analysis if need be, and if the job fit score you get is 70% and above, go ahead and apply. So let's talk about resume templates. Now that we understand the scope of, okay, what is a good fit for me? Let's look at the resume, the mechanism we use for the job application. An ATS, I'm sure many people of you know, ATS is an applicant tracking system. It's essentially the storage or so of all of the applications. It's a tool that recruiters and hiring managers use to store all of the applications they get for a specific role and also follow through across the journey of the applicant from the application step all the way to the offer stage and assigned offer to an employee, to an official employee. But what many times applicant tracking systems do is they extract the information from the resume. They parse it out. And many templates are too complex. The ones you see here, just as an example, are too complex, and we don't recommend them for ATSs because ATSs, the way they read the way they parse out the information from the resume is left to right, top to bottom. So if we're using column-based, as you see here, or column-based, or even an image or any metadata that includes tables or anything that is too complex, the ATSs might stumble and fall and on this and mess up the information that you're putting on a resume, and that's not going to be very efficient for for when they view the application. Now they will always have the PDF itself to show, but they'll have to click another button for that. And you want to make it as easy as you can for the viewer, which is again the recruiter, again spending those 10 seconds, 15 seconds or so. And you'd want to use, even though it's like maybe more simplistic, this type of resume, not necessarily this one per se, but simplistic resume with your name on the top, the not necessarily, but the role that you're applying for in this company, and few details about your phone, email, any way they can contact you, and the location. The location does not mean your full address. It means the city and the state. That's about it. Then you'll go through a summary, and I'll go through that in detail. A few skills picked out, the experience section, and we'll talk about if you have little or no experience, and education, projects, volunteering. But make sure that you only put down here on the projects and the volunteering state sections here, only what directly relates to the job description. Okay. And now let's go through, we understand the resume template. Let's go over section by section. How do we make that ideal? And to the other question that talks about how do we make it stand out? So ideal length of that tailoring of that summary section is about 1 to 3 sentences overall, not more than about 70 words. You want to use active language in a confident tone, such as expertise, proficient, skills, accomplished, so on. And you want to talk about this in first person implicit. That means you are avoiding the use of I. I did this or I did that. And I'll show you an example. You talk about yourself as if like third person. So let's take another example here. On the left-hand side, I have elements from the job description itself, and you'll see how I come up with like a tailored summary that goes on the summary section. So breaking it down to the job title and work experience that this company is about, a work experience 10 years or so, program management, technology driven, fast-paced, education they want, advanced degree in business, computer science, and areas of expertise, strong track record in large-scale software development, agile methodologies. So the way this would all come in the tailored summary section is I would put myself as an experienced program manager, 8 years of experience in fast-paced Companies driving development, large scale SaaS products holds a BSc in double E, PMP certification, skills, and then Agile. So you can see how I touched upon and positioned myself or the applicant positioned themselves, touching upon the most critical aspects of the job description. And that is in essence will attract, that's the point of this, that's the whole goal, attract the recruiter to keep on reading. First off, understand who is this person overall, like how many years of experience do they have, what are they skilled at, and so on. But in a way that directly relates to the job description that they've put out. And then there's the skill section. Now, the skill section, again, should not be a laundry list of skills. It should combine both hard skills and soft skills, as mentioned, is required in the job description. Step one is identify the skills from the job description itself. This is an example of a UX designer. Choosing which skills to highlight in your tailored resume, picking out the skills with the best fit for the job, grouping them if you need to with similar skills, and ordering them. The order is also important. Again, what could be a great hint is looking across the job description itself and looking at the order in which the requirements were mentioned. So typically it goes from the highest, from the most important skill or the most important requirement to the least important. And that's why the preferred always come at the bottom, the preferred requirements. So that's in essence how you should order the skill set as well that you're mentioning. And step three would be deciding on a format or for the tailored resume, columns versus rows. It could be either way, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's not too condensed and is easily readable and communicates what we want to do. Okay, what we want to say. Now let's look at the experience section. And this goes both, when I say experience, it means internships as well. Internships that you've done across your studies, that's where they go as well. So this is where we use the STAR methodology. STAR talks about situation, task, action, and results. And this is where you'd want to look back, even on internships, 3 months long and so, or projects that you've done, and look across not necessarily what you've done, but essentially what was the quantified as much as we can outcome of that. So for example, reduced bug throughput time by 30%. This is kind of the active language I was talking about that you can use. The STAR methodology can be used. You can use that as an exercise outside of the resume, but the resume, as I'll show an example, should start with accomplished. First off, what accomplished results do I have, and then how have I accomplished that? Because the attention when a reader reads this is they will focus mostly on the first part of the statement, and again, the statement that come at the top. So that's how the span of attention, even across those 10 to 30 seconds, will go through from top to bottom. That's why we have the summary section and the skills. And then they will not read each and every bullet, but for the ones that they do read, we want to structure the sentence in a way that will showcase the relevant skills and catch the eye with numbers. Now, not every sentence, every statement has to follow the structure of numbers and the STAR methodology, but you'd want to throw here and there some numbers. And when I talk about numbers, these can either be percentages. For example, I achieved 50% rise in sales activities, or a dollar number, saved the company 50K on some processes, or saving time. shaved off time, did that in 3 months as compared to 6 months, which is the typical process. You'd have to really think through um, about your achievements, not necessarily what I've done, but what have I delivered to the company. Without me, this would component would be missing functionality that they won't have. Again, saving time, saving money, or generating leads, generating, um, marketing aspects of this, anything that you think that quantifies and showcases the contribution. These are examples that you can that talk through, again, problem, solution, result. That's examples you can use, or use them as a guideline to state your the statements on the resume. Any questions that we can take?
Yes, so we have quite a few questions that popped up here, and a lot of them are kind of around the template and format. Would you mind hopping back to the slide that shows or that talks about the template?
This one.
Yes, perfect. Um, so we have a couple questions, a couple of them around whether a Word document or a PDF is the best format to upload. Do you have a preference there?
There is no preference there. Um, no, but
Okay.
make sure, this can kind of be misleading. If I've seen people who generate, use resume from Canva, that's just an example, right? And that generates um, a, a PDF, which is like the metadata behind it is actually a JPEG or a photo. That's what it generated, and then it transformed the photo to a PDF format. When we use Bullseye to parse that information from the PDF document, it didn't do a good job, and that gave us a sign of like how the ATSs are having a hard time. So my point is, go use either a Word document or a Google Doc. Google also has templates for you to use. They are, for the most part, following the simplistic template. There is few templates also on our website that you can use, obviously for free, just download. And there is no preference between a Word document or a PDF. Just make sure that it doesn't have all that metadata behind it.
Perfect. Just kind of in that same vein, someone asked here, do you recommend just not using any column formats at all?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. All right, let's see here. I want to hop back up to one of the first questions we received here. So, how does the job fit analysis work if you're attempting to pivot industries or roles?
That's a great question. And yeah, I meant to touch upon this as well. So when you're pivoting, hopefully there is an overlap, maybe not necessarily in the hard skills and tools that you've used and so on, but hopefully on the soft skills. So for example, could be people skills such as negotiation skills, coordinating, organizing, project management, program management. For example, I talked with one project manager at Google, and she's working on software projects at specific domain, and she wants to pivot to biotech, but again in program management. So that's an example. She doesn't come from the healthcare or biotech domain, so not experienced with customers in that domain or so on. But she can leverage the all of the project management, cross-functional teams, coordinating, organizing those skills to be used in the new domain. Okay. Now, if you're asking about a pivot that has no overlap whatsoever, not on the hard skills and not on the soft skills. That's a harder task. Which in that case, if you're like completely pivoting, maybe you want to think about upskilling in terms of taking courses in that relevant field that's of interest. Something that you can bank on, that you can showcase, my interest in this, or what do I bring to the table? What type of expertise do I bring? Okay, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Karen, for that thorough answer. We have a few more questions here if you're okay taking a few more.
Yeah,
Perfect.
sure.
Um,
Just timing wise, yeah.
yeah. Samantha asks, how can I highlight my recent education, MBA and HR certificate, and transferable skills if I don't move from the education sector into a private sector role in HR?
That's pretty specific. Yeah. But I would say you mentioned recent studies. Studies would typically go under experience. You can play with that. You can put the education part on the top as long as you like keep that somewhat of disorder in terms of the summary and the skills, and maybe then put the education. But the way to go about this, and I'll answer in a more generalized form, is think of you'd have somewhat of a opportunity to market yourself for a specific role, packaging everything you just told me in that summary statement. So it would describe you as, I don't remember the exact detail, but education background, proficient in XYZ, uh, passionate about this and that. And this will go under the summary statement. I'll get to this, but I'll also demo Bullseye, and Bullseye, which you get free access to, at least on the trial phase. Bullseye will generate the tailored resume for you. So you just feed in the relevant information, could be just the resume, or it talks with you as well to uncover and just add more information. You can generate, it essentially generates like a deep profile about you, getting to know you more than just a resume. And you'll see that it will generate a summary statement which would be different across different roles, will position you differently for each role, packaging everything, we just talked about, packaging your background to a relevant specification requirement. Yeah, but that's something you can do yourself, just using those guidelines that I mentioned.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to do a couple more here, and I know I want to be very conscious of time. So, this individual asks, as they're tailoring their resume, when the job description says leadership in cross-functional teams, do we need to use that exact keyword, cross-functional teams, or led projects with XYZ departments when tailoring the resume there?
Yeah, I would say you don't have to use the exact wording, but the essence need to shine through.
Perfect. Let's see. I'm gonna do one here from Carly. She says, I've heard that changing your city and state to the desired next job increases your chances of being interviewed. I'm planning on moving to a new financial hub once I graduate with my MBA, and I wanted to know if I should put my current city, the one I want to leave, uh, to be uh, or swap to the new city, the one that she's looking to get a role in.
Yeah, that could be company dependent, and obviously it depends on the role, because they now, they specify either it's fully remote, if it is it hybrid. Um, so you'd have to check that, as that's part of the requirements as well. And what I've seen people do, and I think I was consulting for a company on that space, and what can be helpful in that as well is to put like open to relocating. We're open to relocation. Just put the city that you're in now and and just say open to relocation on the location um, section.
I think that makes a lot of sense, making sure that
Yeah.
they're and that you're open to relocating so that they understand that. Um, okay, I'm gonna drop a couple of, I think, quick questions here, and then we
Maybe
can,
just take one more because we got like about 20 more minutes and
yeah. Let's see. This person asks, how important is putting your GPA in your resume for educational qualifications?
right. So I think it is important. Obviously depends on how recent graduate you are, how many years of experience you have, behind you. Um, if not so many, I think it is important to put the GPA. It showcases the activities that you've done, grants that you've done, research that you've done, anything um, that shows excellence, that shows leadership, clubs that you've, joined, not too much. And don't forget always what's relevant for that role. Okay. Awesome. So I'll go to the section that we're in. Yeah. So this was about, we talked about the tailoring experience section. Now, um, I'm not sure if we have folks here on the call in terms of that have many years of experience. And I'm talking about like, 15, 20, 25, 30, and more, or along those number of years. Now, ageism, that's part of what I did my research on. Ageism is one of the least talked about biases in the workforce. It is out there, but it's not as much talked about. And even when companies, take goals into minimizing bias and, DEI activities and so on, age is one of the somewhat overlooked areas. Nonetheless, bias is out there, and we can try to minimize this, but or help in showcasing what we bring, what you bring to the table as a candidate. And when I was interviewing recruiters, some of the things that they mentioned in terms of what gives out the age is having those older dates on the resume. Not necessarily you have to mention the years when you graduated, if it was like 20 years back or so. And maybe you never want to go, that's regardless of age, beyond 2 pages. I didn't mention that. If you have about, the rule of thumb is like 5 years of experience, six or so, keep it to a single page. Beyond that, you can go to maybe a page and a half. But anyway, even if I have 20 years of experience, 2 page is the limit for a resume. So keep that. Don't make it like an endless list of things that you've done. You don't want to use email addresses that are somewhat outdated. Such as Hotmail and things like that, that immediately gives out your age, but you don't want to do that. You want to help the process. Um, and as the resume comes about, the focus, think of the resume, the 2 page or even a single page, as a real estate in which we would want to maximize the efficiency of that piece of real estate. That means that most of the resume, if you look across this, will focus on the 10 most recent years of experience that I have. Everything else will be mentioned, things that I've done maybe 15, 20 years ago will be mentioned as the company name and the title, but it won't be mentioned in much detail and take up space. You always want to use modernized skills and languages on the resume. Um, that's something to pay attention to. Have your LinkedIn, a resume without a LinkedIn. You should add a LinkedIn, definitely. Make sure that it is uh, up to date. Your LinkedIn page doesn't need to be a copy paste of your resume, does not need to be. If a LinkedIn is a copy paste of your resume, recruiters that are scanning LinkedIn, that doesn't give them much of an incentive to reach out and ask for your resume because the entire resume is out there already. You want to put short summaries, very short summaries of what you've done, but not go into too much detail on the LinkedIn. So make that as more of a teaser to reach out to you, not put the whole thing in there. Okay, now, yeah, we have about 15 minutes or so. I'll talk about Bullseye in a bit, just a bit, and and I want to demo the tool as well, because essentially the tool itself does everything that we just talked about. It runs the job fit analysis, it generates a tailored resume, a cover letter, and so on. So our private beta, we ran over 450 or so job seekers, all of them professionals in tech and finance, so very relevant to the audience we have today. Anywhere between entry level to VPs, but the majority were mid-career level. What we see is high engagement and people coming back using the tool. And we've built Chrome extension to also import jobs over from job boards, and I'll talk about that. But the most important metric for us was how much is this tool helping to convert an application to an interview? That we cannot control how the interview goes, how, what questions they asked at this point, at least, what questions they asked, how you answered, what's your body language, so on and so forth, the tonation of your voice. But the metric that's important is at least get you to an interview, to a phone screen with a recruiter, to a call with the hiring manager, whichever way. And that's what we've seen with the folks that have extensively used Bullseye. 29% of them have secured an interview within a single month or less from starting to use the tool. So you can take a screenshot of that, and we can also send this out later. The tool itself, what you'll get today, and I'll demo now, runs the job fit analysis, tailors the resume for each job description, asks you questions, like it's interactive by nature. I would recommend you use this on Chrome. It doesn't work as well on Safari, Firefox, and others, and use a desktop. Doesn't work that well on a phone. Use the Chrome extension to import jobs over, and I'll show how that works from multiple job boards. You get a 5-day free trial. And after that, we have a promotion that's going on for BGS members, either on a monthly basis or $89 up until you get hired, up to a year. And you can also use this code that I have here on the screen. Make sure that you take a screenshot of that, and we can also send this afterwards. I think we also have that on the website, Matt. So overall, we are hoping that, this will give you a way to streamline the application process, make it not as, demoralizing, create interviews for you. This is what we've heard from users: saving time, emotional comfort, being interactive, and applying for jobs that actually were a good fit, as opposed to, just applying all over the place. So with that, maybe we'll demo the tool real quick and then take questions. Okay, great. So so this is what the tool looks like. These are all, as you can see, are all of them are program manager roles, such as my background. But nonetheless, you'll see that my score of a fit for each and every one of them is very different, anywhere from like 59, 77, 63, 100, and so on. And that's why the devil is essentially in the details. The way I get to this screen is, if you log on to Bullseye, I will ask you to open an account. You can use a Gmail. That's most preferred. Like, just say continue with Chrome. And then and then plug in your resume and a job description. Bullseye always analyzes the resume against a job description, not a resume by itself. Okay, now once I import a job over, and I'll show you how that works, it gives me a score. And the score itself, let's see, let's open this one. It goes over one by one over each one of the requirements, both the basic and the preferred. And it shows me how I check the box or don't check the box. So either I don't check the box at all, which I have like an X here, or I fully check the box in terms of how my experience and accomplishments are solid evidence of how I meet this requirement, and which is a check, or partially, which is that question mark, and that gives me also an ability to interact with the tool and add more information also on the X's. Like whichever is not fully met, I can interact and add more information. So for example, yeah, so they want, I'll go here, that this is like they want 10 years of experience in a technical project management role within a marketing or digital environment. So Bullseye explains to me on the requirement evaluation side, on the right-hand side, you have 16 years and so and so. But what's missing, there is no specific mention of experience within a marketing or digital requirement. So I kind of got a partial score. This is a score I was talking about before. This, and maybe I do have, and it's not mentioned, or anything that I would want to add, is this is where I would start the conversation. So it asked me, do you have any additional information regarding this and that? So I might say either yes or I don't have. And I have this drop down menu where after it read my resume already, it will ask me to which section, how have you gained this experience? Like at which role, which job this was? And I'll pick from the drop down menu, and then it will ask me, I'll just go here for just as an example, and then it will ask me a specific question. Please describe an additional experience as what was the problem, solution, and result as it relates to the marketing digital environment. So this is a way how it will guide me into adding more information. Now, Bullseye has a memory. It's going to remember everything that I said. It's saving all of that, and it's going to remember that. So it's not going to ask me the same question again for a different job. And it also takes all of the information that I mentioned, including the resume, and use that in the tailored resume that it's going to generate for me. Okay, now once I am happy about this, I just click the resume button, and it takes a few seconds and it generates a tailored resume for each role. As you can see, following the template that we talked about, summary, skills, experience, not more than a 2-pager, education, and everything else. But it also gives me a way to edit. The left-hand side is an editor. I don't like a word, maybe I want to say this differently. This is where I will edit. I can change a skill, remove this altogether, create a new section, add something, anything I want to do. I can do using the editor section. I can choose a different template if I want. They are all, this is not a column-based, by the way, but they're all following the simplistic format. As you can see, more condensed, less condensed. I can pick a color if I like, and then just download and apply. So in essence, helps me in really streamlining the application process. Now it will position me, like everything will be different across different roles. It will position me different across a role that is more technical versus a role that is more business oriented. You'll be able to see that on the summary, which skills are actually picked out. They will be different. Which experiences are highlighted. That goes back to the original question we had. Someone was asking, how can I, without even any experience, how can I stand out? Obviously, you will apply to roles that don't require much experience. But this is a way of how you can stand out. And Bullseye will help you do that. Kind of package everything that you've done that's relevant either in extracurriculum, school studies, internships, volunteering work, anything of that sort, and find a way to position you for that role. See again those, 2 to 3 sentences, only just about 7, 8 skills. Um, this is a way to help the recruiter scan through and understand your worth for the job. Now, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and show how the Chrome extension works for easy application, easy apply. Now, what you see here is I have, once I install this, I have a Chrome extension here with Bullseye, and I can go on to jobs and search for technical program manager role. I can pick just about anything, and the one I choose, for example, this, I click the Chrome extension and I say check my job fit. It copies over the entire thing. You don't have to worry about Bullseye will parse it out directly, and I say check job fit, and then it adds it on to my dashboard and will generate a score for me. Now, this Chrome extension works on, as mentioned before, on LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, Wellfound, Dice, and other job boards. If you have anything that you want us to add, just send me a note. We'll add this happily. Yeah, let's see. Still analyzing my fit for this role. In the meantime, we can take questions because we have just a few minutes. Yeah, as I see, I got like a 96% of a fit. Certified Scrum, that's what's missing. Certified Scrum Master, Agile Team Facilitation, all those certifications, I don't have them. And that's what it's telling me. There's no direct evidence, which actually there isn't because I don't have those. But technical skills, knowledge of Red Hat products, understanding of open source development, maybe, I can combat that just a bit by chatting with the platform and adding more information to that. You will always have the job description saved for you. Sometimes, the job description get lost or removed from the website. You will always have it here. And you also have an ability to generate a cover letter for the job, for the role. Yeah, any questions that I can take?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's start with one specifically about, let's see. How about hybrid resumes? What are your thoughts on hybrid resumes?
Actually,
Specifically,
did you
sorry?
see my LinkedIn? Did you see my LinkedIn page when I switched over?
No.
No. Yeah, let's sorry, because I was only sharing. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was showing, sorry about that. I was showing that by going, if once you install the Chrome extension with Bullseye, it goes on the LinkedIn page here on my right-hand side. And I go on to jobs. I was showing a different role, but if I go on using Bullseye, essentially, I can either ask for a new job fit and just copy paste the role, or I can use the Chrome extension and just say, I want this role to be analyzed for me and generate a tailored resume. I can click this, this Chrome extension and say, check job fit, and then it copies everything over to Bullseye, and then I click the check job fit. Okay, so I guess it didn't show the other LinkedIn page. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, this individual is asking about hybrid resumes, your thoughts on them specifically. Um, if your relevant experience was 2 or 3 jobs ago, do you recommend using a hybrid resume so that your relevant experience is not buried or not out of sight?
What is a hybrid resume?
Um, I guess
What's
they're
the
they're
intent?
specifically asking if they're trying to split between two different jobs or maybe two different fields, it looks like. Uh, yeah, so they said a combo of a functional resume and a chronological.
Yeah, the preferred approach, right, the functional resume is something that is not in common use today. And it can, raise flags for the recruiter reading that. The the way I understand that maybe the question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, the goal is to overcome the professional gap in a specific domain that happened recently. So I want to kind of jump, showing my experience from previous years ago, how it's relevant today, and that's why they will use the functional resume. I don't recommend doing that. And the reason is that it's not in common use today, the functional resume, at least in, tech finance spaces, um, education, and so on. The way to go about this is, again, using those tools, mechanisms that I showed today, which pick out from the recent years of experience you have what's relevant to the role, showcasing only that and talking about that in the skills and the summary section. It's think of it as somewhat similar to pivoting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, this individual asks, how important is it to keep your resume up to date, even if you're happy in your current role?
I mean, if you're not looking for a job, you mean?
If they're not looking for a job, yeah, how important is it for
Yeah,
them to still maintain that resume?
that's a great question because many people have told me across those, workshops, and so I don't remember what I've done at the company in the sense of we talked about quantified achievement, like how much money have I saved? How, what are the actual contributions? So when you're actually at a job, it could be important to take some notes at least, right? Take some notes in the sense of worked on a specific project for say 6 months or so. What was the outcome? What was the setting? So that you can use that later on for your resume. Yeah.
I think it's always good to have, always continue to update it, right? Because
Yeah.
you're always doing things, you're always working on projects and stuff like that, and that's a good way to honestly remind yourself of how far you've come and what you've accomplished.
Right. And you can also use Bullseye for that because it will remember everything it will guide you through questions now and will save that, forever. So you'll have that record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. We are just running out of time here. Karen, I don't know if you want to take a little bit extra time to answer some
Yes, I can go on
questions.
a little bit more.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Let's see here. I want to go back to the very first question that was asked by you, who was talking about building a resume, uh, but without having work experience. So, is there a good way to build a resume when you don't have that experience?
I think there was, yeah, before I answer that, I think there was a comment here, use your year-end assessment to pull accomplishments. Yeah, great point. I agree. Thank you, Michelle, for mentioning that. Yes, so you're saying little to no experience. How do I write a resume? Yeah. And how do I stand out as compared to other um, candidates? So we actually, maybe McKenna can pull that up. We have an article on our blog that talks specifically about that and gives a lot of detail about how to do this. But you essentially, when you go about writing a resume, you use the tools that you have in a sense of you use everything that you've done in your background. It could be volunteering, it could be courses that you've taken that are relevant to the job. It could be projects that you've done. It could be certifications that you've taken, um, activities that you participated in, initiatives that you led. Doesn't even have to be in a school setting. Anything works, but you have to leverage on something, if that makes sense. Okay, it cannot be just education and alone. And also, you don't need to be, startled by that, because for entry level jobs, they will not ask for, 5 years of experience. If you're applying to those, then it's not a good fit to begin with. Um, you want to apply for things that are, you want to apply for things that, require little to no experience, and they will teach you. That's what they're there for. But what should come about through the resume using that summary and skills section, is your attitude, your approach, your leadership style, how diligent you are, detail oriented. That are things, those are things that you can, talk about. And the internships and everything you've touched upon, the courses that you've taken, those are, that's kind of the evidence that's backing that up. Okay. But I do suggest you go on that blog article. Yeah.
Yeah, McKenna dropped it there in the chat. And be sure to check that out if you're looking for more information there, guys. I had a couple questions regarding the Chrome extension. Do you have a link or something,
Yeah, of
or some way that we can get that over to people?
course.
Looks like people are trying to find it. They're having a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll put it in the chat real quick.
Perfect. Thank you guys for sticking around for a few question and answers here. You guys have been extremely active, asking a lot of questions. I know we're not going to be able to get to everything today, so I really appreciate your patience as we go through some of this stuff. There's the link there to the Chrome application, guys, so you can check that out. So let's see.
Yes, and
Um,
I also want to encourage you guys, don't hesitate. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think, Matt, you mentioned that at the beginning of this session, and
mhm.
McKenna added a link. And also follow us on our LinkedIn webpage. Or go on the website. We have, that I mentioned, the active blog, a lot of information, not only about the resume part, also about cover letters and behavioral questions, interview questions, how to prepare for an interview, how do you answer specific questions, what motivates you, why do you want to work here, all of those, tell me about yourself, all of those questions that will always come up in one shape or form. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's always great. We always get great feedback from our hosts and our speakers here. Members are always reaching out to them on LinkedIn and trying to connect. Keep networking, guys. Really appreciate you connecting with everyone. Okay. One last question.
Sure.
Perfect. All right. So, one last question here. So, what is the best way to identify achievements and create problem solution results for people who struggle to take credit for work they do, or they don't like talking about themselves?
Don't like talking about themselves. So the interview is mostly about you, is mostly about us, so the advice to that is practice and chat, maybe mock interviews, chat with a friend. I think there are also some apps today that are like AI interviewer that you can practice with, can be somewhat of a companion. Um, so that part, in terms of not liking to talk about myself or so, that needs practice. And um, I would suggest I understand, like I think I understand where this question is coming from, not liking to brag. Um, but think of this as I think from a different mindset perspective in terms of your problem solving abilities and how you like and enjoy contributing to the company. So it's not about bragging, about taking credit. It's mostly about how you helped the company, how you enjoyed and created either revenue, customers, engagement, you name it, how you functioned as a problem solver. Like this was the problem, and this is what I had done to help the situation. This is how I amended things. This is how I made things more fun, engaging, and so on. So think just somewhat change the mindset from a bragging kind of, question or answer to a how you enjoyed, working for that company and helping them. So even I think even talking about it from that perspective, even takes off some of the stress from the interview, has potential to take off some of the stress because it's mostly about, how what you did and how you helped and what that contributed to the company, right? As opposed to, you know, looking at this from a taking credit perspective. Yeah.
Wonderful insights. Thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us today to share all this wonderful information. A lot of thank yous in the chat right now, so
Awesome.
really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today. And I
Happy to.
appreciate everybody who joined us today. We had a wonderful turnout, a lot of very active participants here. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you. Keren, anything else you want to leave us with, or anything before we jump out here?
Um, no, I just wanted to say happy to meet everyone. Please connect. I'm happy to connect over LinkedIn and we mentioned that. And great shout out to BGS as well and to you guys, Matt, for organizing this.
Yeah,
Always happy to take part and meet people. And I think we also have we will have a few other workshops next year as well. So looking forward to that too.
yeah,
Touching upon other topics related to the professional journey.
yeah. We have more from Bullseye coming up in the new year. We'll have one coming up in January. And so stay tuned for the topics of those discussions and everything coming out soon. Again, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you. Please feel free to connect with Keren on LinkedIn and have a wonderful day.
Bye.